Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter pilot precision on a daily basis. Today, we're going to talk about energy, specifically green energy, if you will, investing, as well as some legacy carbon-based investing, like the Exxon Mobil, BP, Chevron. We're going to talk about different ways to play that, and we're also going to talk about how to, what stands to benefit from the infrastructure bill. For our question today, we're going to talk about what's a green bond. If you've never heard of it, there's green bonds out there, that are tax advantage. A lot of them are tax free, where they're supporting either green energy companies or green energy projects. And it's interesting. I personally don't have any of these in the book. I need to look into them, though. I just learned about them as I was doing my research for this morning. So I need to take a look a little bit more. Generally, when we talk about bonds, you have municipal bonds are tax-free, but generally they pay so little compared to a regular investment grade bond that even after the tax advantages, it's still better to go with a taxable bond. But we'll see about these green energy bonds. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you are catching us on replay, make sure you click notifications and subscribe as well. If you want to join us live, we have a Q&A window and a chat window. And Apex, I see your question in there about a possible long this morning. So we'll take a look at that here in a second. And if you want to join us live, again, it's $25 a month with that. So let's get started. Good morning and welcome back, everyone. Make sure you have your Q&A window and your chat window set up appropriately. Apex, I did take a look at COM and added it to our list. It meets our criteria of gapping up 5 to 10%, as well as it has about 100,000 shares of volume. So it does meet that criteria. I see the headlines. It looks like a spinoff there of one of its businesses. So yeah, pretty cool. Good catch. I did not catch that in my screener this morning. All right, let's see. Standard disclaimer applies as a financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence before acting on anything you hear this morning. Full disclaimer information is available at ototnow.com. All right, mission objectives for today, Thursday, April 8th. Grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Traditionally, when you think energy investing, you're thinking protecting your money or living off your money. Generally, so now when I say generally, I'm talking historically, you are into the big energy names for the dividend, right? Some of them pay, most of them pay 3 to 4%. The big horses, if you will, tend to pay 5%, 6% or higher, and that's where you're getting that yield. If you're designing a portfolio to live off, you have your $1 million and now you're trying to live off it by generating 5 to 6%, you would use these names for that purpose. However, the face of the energy, I don't want to say field, but space, if you will, has changed now more towards growing our money, because there's a lot of money rolling into the clean energy stuff. So the names we're going to look at, if you haven't heard of NEE, that's NextEra Energy, leader, absolute leader in all things green energy, from wind, solar, electric, all of that, as well as you see Tesla, of course, gobbled up its own solar city. So it has the whole solar panel piece of it, as well as the electric vehicle. The traditional names we're going to take a look at are Exxon Mobil and Chevron down there. We're also going to talk about two funds that that I like, and you've heard me talk about before, Q Clean, which is a pure clean energy fund. So think of that as the energy play, and then Grid is more of the infrastructure around that. So what are the differences there? If you think just with the electric vehicles, that would be under clean energy. But when you think of names like Plug and ChargePoint for all of the infrastructure that supports the electric vehicles, that would be under Grid. So it's kind of the difference there. All right, so that's our long-term investor topic, is investing in energy, and should you, and which ones, and I will answer that for you today. And then we talked about the green bond. All right, the flow will be long, short, open, short, long. We're going to do a market review, headline review. The futures are in the green, at least the NASDAQ's pretty heavy into the green. We'll look at some headlines of the day. We'll get in the short-term execution and execute the market open. Contingencies and academic resources are standard. Let's go over to TD Ameritrade and take a long-term view. Here we are, kind of what I would say, you hit new highs, and either you continue to make new highs, which is the trend, or this is just kind of called a digestion period, where there's a lot of people that are taking profits, and there's also a lot of people that are still buying in at this point. I would say there are things to buy in the market, but you have to be very selective. I would not just, if you're an index investor, I wouldn't just necessarily buy the SPY here, right? But there are names that are attractive here. When we zoom in on the 5-day, here you can see the run up, and then kind of this whole week has been a digestion, if you will, for the S&P 500. All right, there's how we'll get back to that when we get up to our day trading portion. All right, let's go back to the headlines and take a look at the futures. Will refresh this super quick. So the Dow's barely in the red, not really even noticeable, but NASDAQ up almost 1%, right? So tech is back. So yeah, value had its day for what? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Yeah, tech came roaring back yesterday. It's also back today. All right, let's see. Hong Kong up big. Everybody else is about even. In Asia, EU is up across the board. Here's our numbers from yesterday. Pretty well flat, if you will. The VIX, man, VIX is way down. So VXX is all the way down towards 10 now. I'm not sure I've seen it below 10, but we'll keep an eye on it. All right, bonds all the way back down to 1.65. Remember, it was above one, it got up to like 178 or so. We had the Federal Reserve minutes yesterday saying, yeah, we still continue to keep rates lower longer, like they've always said, but now I guess people are listening. So the inflation fears are subsiding. They'll be back. It's a headline. Oil below 60, that's good. Gold and silver getting a little bit of love. And then Bitcoin up, remember, it dropped down to like 54 something, up a couple percent, up to 57 or so. I think we see 60 on this thing pretty quick now that it's kind of come in and now it's going back higher. All right, going back to the main page for headlines. GameStop, blah, blah, blah. Not really going to touch that because it's such a political football, if you will, for investing. Tech leads early gains. We know about that. Getting a lot of real estate questions. If you want to invest in real estate, or if you want to sell your house because it's moved up so much, just realize unless you're going to move out of your current area, it's almost a lateral exchange, right? So the house you're selling has moved up, so you're going to get a good price on that. But the house you're buying also has moved up if you're in the same zip code or a nearby zip code. So it's not necessarily a way to capitalize on it unless you're selling and moving to an area or buying some land and building your own house, which is what a couple of clients are doing out there. So exciting, a good time to do that, certainly. Probably the biggest thing I've seen out of the news, not Tiger Woods going 87 or double the speed limit. That does not actually shock me when you look at that accident that he had. But it's the Biden open and negotiating the corporate tax hike. We haven't really heard a president say anything like, yeah, I'm open for discussion on things for several years now. So we'll see if that's just talk or if that's truth. But I think 28 is not actually a bad number for the corporate tax rate. But I would certainly, I wouldn't mind a 25 either. But President Biden does have a point, is we do have to pay for the infrastructure bill. So does 25% get that done, or do we need 28%? I don't know. It's good that we're going to have that discussion, though. Here's the easy policy will stay in place until economic outcomes are achieved. Again, lower, longer, rates low. I think we're going to see that easily through this year, probably through next year. And in 2023 would be the first time where I think they will attempt to raise rates, find out they can't, and then it will stay longer, lower for, I mean, literally 5, 7, maybe 10 years. I think we are literally stuck in this low rate environment, which is good for the market. So, we shall see. The bad for bond investors. It's tough to find bonds anymore. The only bonds I have are the ones that I bought back when rates were not as low, 3 or 4 years ago, and those are paying off handsomely, but they're also getting bought back. I had another bond that was called, got the notification this morning. All right, let's talk some energy stocks. NEE, if you haven't heard of this firm, kind of the leader out there as far as the clean energy. It ran up pretty big all the way to 87, and now it's kind of come in. Since then, nobody's shorting this. Lots of good green numbers, even though it's come in. It looks kind of like a double bottom here at 70. So when you really think, okay, with that 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio that I'm looking at, it's like, well, it appears to have about $7 to the downside. So does it have 21 to the upside? 21 up to 98. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, uptrend up to 98. So not a bad investment if you want to hop in on it. Again, I'm using the funds to do this, both QClean and Grid. But if you want an individual name, this one is certainly investable, if you will. If you want to take a look at another one like Tesla, which is what I would call not investable, even though it's come in, again, this is a political football. You're looking at PEs over 1,000. I mean, kind of crazy stuff, right? And big short float. I wouldn't touch it. Get into more of your traditional stocks. Oh. All right. If you get into more traditional, like an Exxon Mobil, which I would consider best of breed in this space, again, 6% dividend. That's kind of why you're buying it. It did bounce since the election, but I would not expect that to continue. Where next era could continue higher. I would expect XOM to either consolidate or even sell off, but you are getting
These are Velo lozenges. You can just press.
Because it wants to talk to me this morning, and go over to take a look at Schwab real quick for the names we have out there in EE in the upper left. So the two we've talked about, NEE, Next Era Energy, and Tesla. Here's ExxonMobil and Chevron next to each other. Again, the big bounce out of March of last year. But they are not, either of them are not anywhere near where they were February over 15 months ago or so. But they are paying their dividends out. Ones I would not touch is like BP. BP's in trouble. But if you're going to go with regular energy, big dividend stuff, these are the two that you want. Here are the funds that I like. Again, QClean has come in some after that big run up from last year. And then, of course, you see the volume after the election. I don't look at volume much, but look at that volume is impressive. The amount of money that's going into this fund or trading in this fund, if you will, did get a little bit ahead of itself. It's come in here, but you can buy this honestly hand over fist and hold for a long time. And I think you will be positioned very well. And then Grid is, again, focus on the infrastructure play. That one's held its gains a little bit more, and I think that's going to be a place to have money, at least through the infrastructure bill. So through this year and on into next year is how I don't know if I'm holding it past 2022 or not, but I'm definitely holding it to 2022, if you will. All right, let's go ahead and set up for our day trade. We're going to go over to the TD Ameritrade ThinkPipes platform. Again, our trade ended up working yesterday. Took 40 minutes for it to work, but it finally did work. We've got Riot here, long. We're going to go calm, long, and a little lower volume on the calm long, and then SOS. There's no headline, but it's got one of the highest volume names out there, short. Is how we're set up here. So give me a second and we'll be ready to go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target play of the day. We have 10 seconds to the market open. On the left here, you have the S&P 500, which is it's in the green a little bit. And then we have two longs and a short. So here's the opening bell. We have Riot Long, which is Riot Blockchain. Riot's long story is they have an acquisition that they're pretty proud of, so that is gapping up. Com they're spinning off one of their businesses, so it jumped 7% pre-market, kind of selling off a little bit. And then our short of the day is SOS. The story, there is no storyline there, but there was like 4 million shares trading places pre-market. So there's a lot of traders in this name, so we'll keep an eye on those. Excuse me, sorry about the cough. All right, this is kind of selling off, so we're going to get rid of Com here and go with another short called Box. Box is the data storage company. This is also a short. They get involved with KKR, if you will, and getting a board seat and everything. So this is already down 10%. You see SOS falling off a cliff here. No real entry point unless you were just going to throw a dart in SOS. We would need that to back all the way up into here and then start to sell off again. Again, we don't have the headline. Box is already at 10%, so it's not moving a whole lot. Riot is certainly coming in. Let me look at that story again. Riot acquisition. I'm going to pull it up on another screen. It's good that it's coming in. It'll give us that better entry point. Get a little more out of that headline while we watch it. After buying Texas-based Bitcoin miner, so Windstone US, 80 million cash plus another blah blah blah, some shares, industry leader in Bitcoin mining. Okay, so there's enough story here for the long. Let's back this out and just kind of look at the chart, see where it's been. So it followed Bitcoin down. It's kind of gapping up here. Bitcoin's on the rise today, so I do like it long. We just have to let it set its so 50 is the low of the day. There appears to be a buyer there. It bounced pretty good. So really 50 cents, we would need to get in here at around 50, 55, 50, 50 or so to make this a good investment as far as the math to work. And it's already above that. So can't really take it here because we don't have our ratios. So again, really kind of waiting for that 50-50 point for it to come back to that, which it probably will not. Actually, it'll probably continue powering higher. There's Box just rolled over on a lot of volume. Just looks like a delay. That's a huge buy right there. If you look at that, you had the 20,000 and then 15,000, and then you have 300,000 in that minute. So, and then you're getting some more volume there. So, all right, 50-50 would have been our entry. 51, 52 would be the exit on Riot, but we did not get the entry. SOS falling over. Let's see. We'll get rid of Box and we'll look at some of the other longs out there. Mass is an interesting story. It just doesn't have the volume. Some technology that the Border Patrol agents are using for tracing, actually. And that is it for the, so there's not enough volume there. A couple others are also low volume. BSIG up 7%, but again, not enough volume to hop in. And then RGP was up 11% earlier. That sold off significantly, and it's hardly any volume as well. All right, well, let's don't have a trade for you today, so sorry about that. I do like this one, but again, I don't like it at the entry point here, but I bet you this runs up to 52 by the time we're done talking today. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit and start talking about long-term stuff. Torque Brands, it's a penny stock. You'd have to do that on your own if you're interested. NMDBF, believe that's a psychedelic stock. There's Bitcoin up 3.32, so that'll move some portfolios nicely today. I know several of us are loaded up on Bitcoin. MongoDB is getting a lot of love lately, as well as Trade Desk. Look at this name. Luckin has not had love yet a lot recently, so it is due to bounce. Gosh, all the way down from really 9 earlier this week down to 8:30 at the close, whatever the close was here, 8:32. So it's getting some love. I would expect it to march back higher from here. GoDaddy did an acquisition, so it's getting some love as well, but lots of names in the green. These are mostly tech names, a good percent in the green. Let's look at what's in the red today. The Dow's still slightly in the red. NASDAQ up almost 1%, SPY up about 1/4%. So Clickstream, Mineral, Delta Airlines kind of bounced yesterday on the opening trade. Bank of America, Revive Therapeutics, Verizon, JP Morgan, Sony, T for AT&T, Prudential. Raytheon it's hard to believe how cheap Raytheon is. And when you look at it compared to the rest of the defense names, it's been left behind. Every time I try to buy this, it does nothing. It just sits there, which is a pain. Go out to the 1-year chart. Well, make a liar of me. Here's probably where I'm buying every time, and then it sells off and I get rid of it. But it is really pretty cheap overall. But they also said that the CEO came on yesterday and said that the 28 tax rate would absolutely kill them, cost them like $1 billion. So that's why the name's kind of selling off. So it's been a tough long-term hold, if you will. All right, nothing else notable in the red there. So overall, it's kind of set up as a good long green day. All right, let's take a look at green bonds real quick, and then I will let you go. Going back over to Google and Investopedia. So what you're looking at here. So again, what is a green bond? Type of fixed income instrument that's specifically earmarked to raise money for climate and environmental projects. So you think blue wave, lots of money going into this stuff. It's going to be a major theme. So how to invest in it using bonds. So again, all bonds have credit ratings. So generally with this, they'll either get rated independently or just carry over their issuer's rating, if you will. These came out in 2009, 157 billion worth are out since 2 years ago. So a lot of these are available. Tax incentives are typical of that. So again, tax free. Depends on, such tax exemption and tax credits could make them more attractive compared to a taxable bond. So when you're doing bond math, you have to really look at what is the taxable bond paying and then subtract out the taxes that you're going to pay and then compare that with what the, tax-free bond or tax exempt bond is paying. And that's how you have to do the math. So if you're getting 1.6 tax-free, but you're making 4% on a taxable bond, you're gonna be better off every single day, no matter what tax bracket you're in, with the 4% bond and just paying the taxes on it. All right, there's some history stuff and not a whole lot of examples here. So I'm going to dig into this a little bit more. Again, unless you're in retirement, it's probably not for you. But I do need to get smart on what are some actual examples of the green bond. So, all right, that's what I have for you today. Again, we're setting up for a nice green day, if you will, out there. Apple's up 1%. Amazon has been marching higher lately. GoDaddy's on fire. 10 cents bouncing for those of you that have any of the speculative Chinese names. So Amazon's up 1.22%. So a lot of good, strong names, major holdings for us are on the up. So we like that. With that, I'm going to let you go, and we'll see you back tomorrow, Friday morning. Bye.